Now, for the new people, newish people, get out your Sanskrit chant cheat sheet, and we'll learn a couple of the chants. So before we start, things that may make it helpful. In Sanskrit, we have long and short syllables. So if you notice, for example, when Saundarya is chanting, how the rhythm will dance, and that's built into the language, long and short syllables. There are rules, I'm not going to go into it too much. But all the vowels have a long and a short form. So we go it, oo. And then there are diphthongs, a, I, o, and ow. So that's how we determine this. Now, what tends to get confusing for Westerners, the short A is pronounced like the U in but. So it's not Sanskrit, it's Sanskrit. It's not mantra, it's mantra. So as we go through these, and these are transliterated for you, we're not using the Devanagari script, but it'll help you with the rhythm to keep that in mind. So I'll chant, we're going to start with the Guru Stotram first, and I'll chant one phrase and then you repeat it after me. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, together. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Gurureva Param Brahma. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam. Trilokyam Sacharacharam. Trilokyam Sacharacharam Tat Padam Darshitam Yena Tat Padam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Twameva Mata Chapita Twameva Mata Chapita Twameva Bandhuscha Sakha Twameva Bandhuscha Sakha Twameva Twameva Vidyadravinam Twameva Vidyadravinam Twameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Twameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Let's try it all together from the beginning. See how you do. Together. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trilokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Jai Guru. And of course, I picked that second verse because it's Chinmayam, which means comprised of consciousness. It's also my Guru's name. So, and then let's not learn the Om Sahana Bhavatu this week. We'll work on it next week. But for those of you who know it, let's chant it together. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Punaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, in our text, we were on the fourth verse. We didn't finish it, but let's review the idea that Shankara is talking about because it's so important. Shankara says, my problem is not that I'm too fat or too old or I'm stupid or I'm anxious or blah, 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 blah. He says, my problem is my mind is agitated. I'm restless. I'm discontent. Why? The root of the problem is deep spiritual ignorance. This is also, by the way, how the Eastern Orthodox Christians look at original sin. And then he says, my problem is deep spiritual ignorance. I'm crazy. I don't know who I am. I think I'm something I'm not. I have a problem called superimposition. I superimpose upon my essential nature all sorts of crazy ideas. And then he said, actions will not work because action is not opposed to or in contradiction to the problem, which is ignorance. Why is this important? We have lots and lots of spiritual practices which the literature prescribes for us. Last week, Pamela was talking about being devoted to an idol, a god. Wonderful practice. Spending time chanting Vishnu Sahasranam or any other long chant, going on pilgrimages, taking sacred baths, making a trip to Makkah. All these, they have a purpose. What is their purpose? They serve to purify the head and the heart. Doing yoga postures. Who here's done yoga postures? Daniel has. Those are valuable. They help you be able to let go of aches and pains and identification with the body. but they are all essentially precatory. And from the standpoint of ritual, we can get stuck there for decades because we don't realize what the problem is. Now, when we say knowledge, we don't mean a bunch of information. That's called paroksha jnana, indirect knowledge. Well, I've read the book. Does this make me enlightened? We need what's called aparoksha jnana, direct experience. Any thoughts on this? Yes, no? Okay.
Are we still on verse 4?
We are on verse 4.
Okay, I'm just not hearing what you're saying and reading verse 4.
Well,
so
this is material we covered last week.
Yeah, I know.
But I want to make sure everybody
disconnect.
understands that before we go on. Okay, would you please read verse 4, just the English right now?
The self appears to be finite because of ignorance. When ignorance is destroyed, it is recognized to be the infinite, absolute. The self reveals itself by itself, like the sun when the clouds pass away.
So, the problem here is spiritual ignorance. What this book is about is investigation into the nature of myself. When the ignorance is removed, knowledge of myself is clear. I use two examples of this in a worldly sense. Did we talk about Tarzan and Moses last week?
Yes.
Yeah, so Moses is raised thinking he's the prince of Egypt. He never was. He then finds out he's an Israelite. Everything shifts once he finds out who he is. Tarzan is raised thinking he's an ape in the jungle. Then he finds out who he really is, a human being. It's the same with things of value. I think last week I talked about the gal who went to the antique roadshow with the brooch. Wasn't that in this class?
Yeah.
Yeah. She thought it was a piece of costume jewelry. She finds out, oh my God, that's a real star sapphire. So it had value. Right now, my problem is I think I'm my body, or my body plus the personality. This experience has a lot of very beautiful names in Sanskrit. One of the most common is ahankara, which is usually translated as ego. Aham is simply the first person pronoun, I. Kara comes from the root kri, which means make or do, to do. It's the kind of thinking that makes this phony self. The term I like, which comes from the Mandukya Karika, is Jiva Bhavana. Bhavana means a feeling or an attitude. So it's the feeling that I'm a person, the feeling that I'm my body, the feeling that I'm an individual. And as soon as I think I'm an individual, Jim, then the world of name and form arises at the same time. It's what the Buddhists call dependent origination. And always there's a sense of struggle. I'll be happy when, it'll be better if, more better, different. And it's always some attempt to try to improve or fix or secure this sense of individuality so that I, the individual, am okay. And what Shankar is saying is it's doomed to failure. because it's the wrong antidote to the problem. It's like trying to sweep the dust off of your shadow to clean your shadow, or sweep darkness out of a dark room. It ain't gonna work. And if we look to our direct experience, that works so far. So Shankara says, find out who you are. Now, this is not about finding out who you are as an authentic human being. I'm an artist. I'm a gay man. That's much lower level. What is my essential nature as a direct experience? And what we the verse, because that's what we didn't get to last week.
The self reveals itself by itself, like the sun when the clouds pass away.
Can you go back one sentence now?
Certainly.
That's the part I want to talk
Okay,
about. It is recognized to be infinite absolute.
that's correct.
So for me, I only actually learned about the subtle body not long ago.
Yeah,
So this issue of the infinite and
it's
the absolute,
not your subtle body.
it's beyond that.
It's beyond the
Okay.
subtle body.
Okay.
Let me see if I can give you another image. The physical body is like the water glass. The subtle body is like the water in the glass. So reincarnation is when I pour the water from one glass to another.
Mhm.
You are like the space in the glass. Now, the question is there space in the glass, or is the glass in space?
What's that?
Huh?
I agree.
Watch what happens when I move the glass. Did the space go anywhere?
Nope.
So this is what it means by you being infinite. Now, the self reveals itself by itself. It's cool. And what we want to do with this work is understand yourself is one, ever present, constant, conscious entity. Who sees the phone? Right away. That's yourself. You're not going to get another self. My problem is I don't really know what that self is. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to inquire directly into that actual experience of me. Now, what does Shankara mean by this last part of the verse? How do you know you are you? Do you see, hear, taste, touch, or smell yourself?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's your body. Do you emote your Sorry, Zoomies, we're having technical problems. Can you guys hear me? Can you check at the top and see if the mic and the
Yeah, it's all on.
I can hear you now. I can hear you now, Jim.
Thank you. Okay. So the self is Swayambhu, self-evident. The self is its own means of knowledge. Now, I know the world through what we call the triputi, the triple factor. I, Jim, through seeing, know the table. Seer, seeing, seeing. Triple factor. I, Jim, through hearing, know the conversations going on the patio. Triple factor. So everything in the phenomenal world is known through a triple factor. Knower, knowing, and known. Let's go more subtle to the subtle body. We go to the realm of feelings. I, Jim, through manas, mind, know feelings. Triple factor. Let's go to the realm of intellect. I, through buddhi, intellect, no thoughts, triple factor. How do you know you are you? Who knows it? Well, I do. What's the means of knowledge? The instrument? I don't know, I just know. Self is its own means of knowledge. What is it that's known? You're not going to see yourself as an experience in meditation. Oh, I was in meditation. It went by. I saw the self. No. Oh, I had an experience of the self. You're having it all the time. My problem is that I don't experience the self. No. My problem is I don't pay attention to. I have not examined what's always there. So a very quiet mind with the attention turned inward. Who am I? We see the self reveals itself. And in the subtle intellect, we have this aha. Oh, there's nobody there. There's just the vast, empty space of consciousness. All this is packed into this one verse. All right, number 5.
Wait, I have one more question about this infinite absolute. So in deep sleep, we are not conscious. It's the absence.
Oh, you are conscious in deep sleep.
Okay, so within the realm of the absolute and the infinite, all of consciousness is the absence of consciousness as well.
Well, it depends on what you're defining things.
Well, I'm defining that. I mean, you were being very phenomenological. You know?
No, I'm being very clear. You are aware of
Right.
the mind folded up into the darkness of deep sleep. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
Close your eyes. Are you blind or are you seeing the back of your eyelids?
I have no idea.
You're seeing the back of your eyelids.
Okay. If you say so. Just looks dark.
You're not blind. Open your eyes and you can see again.
Right.
Likewise, what did the eyelids do? They occluded your vision.
Okay.
So when the mind is folded up in deep sleep, I am not aware of the ego. I'm not aware of the phenomenal world. But did you sleep soundly last night?
I did.
Yeah. Have you had a night's sleep where you've awakened in the middle of the night, maybe to go pee?
Often.
Yeah. So you know through memory, you can't do it at the time because the mind's folded up. But you are aware the mind stayed in that folded up state all night. Or if you tickled it awake,
Right.
I had to go pee. If you were unconscious in deep sleep, how would you know you got up to pee?
So that brings us to death.
No, it doesn't yet. We're not going to talk about death tonight.
All right. Okay.
We'll get there.
I was just this infinite absolute keeps. I just keep.
Okay. So
Sorry.
just put it on the shelf.
I'll put it on the shelf.
What you are is unconditioned, absolute awareness that is
Okay.
not born and does not die and never changes.
Got it.
You don't have to believe that. let's see if we can come to an experience of it. So put the doubts about death and stuff on the shelf for now.
Not a doubt. Oh, good.
All right. Doubt is another name for question.
Oh, okay. I'm
All
just
right.
looking for clarity.
Okay. Next verse. I'm so sorry, Zoomies. I'm just going to keep talking, and if I log off, she's going to help us. So anyway, so the water has silt in it during the monsoon. It's not drinkable. So what they do today, nowadays, they use alum, but 1,500 years ago, 1,300 years ago, they used the powder of the kataka nut. So they would pound it, and they put the powder in the jars. And I don't understand the physics of the chemistry, but it has to do with surface tension. And it would collect all the silt, which would then get heavy and go to the bottom, and they could pour off the potable water. They would decant it. So what Shankara is saying here is we need to use the practice of knowledge to purify our ignorant minds. What you need is to be brainwashed because you have impure, dirty minds. Now, when we say they are impure and dirty, it means you don't have vicious or vulgar thoughts. You just got a lot of them. And most importantly is the thought, I'm a person. I'm my body. World of name and form is out there, and it's misery and joy producing. Is there are certain practices? Remember in the first verse we talked about for whom is this intended? For those who've done work on themselves psychologically, spiritually. But we're going to work on introverting the attention in a very quiet to find out, Koham, who am I? Who is it that is the knower of all phenomena? That's the witness of all feelings. That is the witness of all thoughts. That is the witness of deep sleep and its end, waking state. Who am I? And in a mind that's very quiet, the attentive faculty introverted, I begin to see there's no person. Just the space of pure awareness. Don't believe me. Don't believe Shankar. Go there. Look. See. So this practice of knowledge is also called Atma Vichara. The root is vich, vichati, which means to winnow, to separate wheat from chaff. So I'm going to work on separating the not self from the self. So if it has a beginning and an end, if it occurs in time and space, if it's a physical object, if it's a feeling, if it's a thought, if it can be objectively apprehended, that isn't it. So we learn to drop the mind. Notice the knower itself. So we're going to be working over and over and over again. Simplified way to articulate this was the great practice that the Saint Ramana Maharshi gave us. Koham, who am I? What is my essential nature? Any thoughts on this? All right, next verse.
Samsara swapna tulyo hi raga dvesha di sankula swakale satyavad bhati prabodhe satya sadbhave. The world is full of attachments, aversions, and so on, is like a dream. It appears to be real as long as the dream continues, but becomes unreal when one wakes up, when true wisdom dawns.
So, Vedanta uses a clear understanding of the dream state to give us an insight into the waking state. Let me show you how. So, who's had a dream recently? I dreamt one. I dreamt I was out sailing with friends. So, in the dream, there was the dream sailboat, the dream ocean, the dream friends, the dream wind, the dream islands and hills in the bay. Now, if I close my eyes and I visualize a sailboat, and I open my eyes, there's a similarity to the dream and a deep difference. The sailboat of my imagination, the sailboat of my fancy, is just an imagination. It's not real. It's insubstantial. But if I dream I'm out sailing, first of all, I have the non-apprehension of myself as the waker. That's called deep sleep. And my mind goes, project! And I have a dream body, and it becomes the locus of perception. I peep out of that dream body at a dream world. And I have a dream ego identified with that body. I am in the sailboat sailing on the bay. And then I have a world outside, the sailboat, the sky, the trees on Alcatraz, etc., the ocean. And I have dream feelings inside. Oh, I love to sail. This is so much fun. But when I wake up, the dream body, and more importantly, the dream ego and the dream world were just imagination. You are the God of your dream. You create the dream, your individual dream, in the same way the infinite creates all this. Now, we participate in the infinite dream in a very interesting way. Because when I go to sleep to my essential nature, which by the way is beginningless, We've been doing it for lifetimes. I think I'm my body. That is an imagination. I think the world of name and form is separate from me, and joy giving and misery producing. He uses in the verse the terms raga and vesha. Raga means my attachment or my passion for things. Vesha means aversion. It's interesting. If you've listened to Indian music, you call those melodic formulae that you have in Indian music. We have scales in Western music. In Indian music, what do you call those things?
Raga.
Yeah. A passion, a feeling. Very interesting. It's not a negative word. It just says what happens to the mind. What Shankar is saying is that is a dream-like construction. Now, this is for some of you, not necessarily all. I'm going to say it. The shift between the dreamer and the waker is a gross shift. Dreaming away that I'm out sailing, and then the alarm goes off. Bang! Oh my God, it's 7 o'clock. Oh, I don't want to get out of bed yet. Dream world gone. The shift between being ego identified, I'm a person, and knowing I am Brahman, infinite consciousness. Though profound, is incredibly subtle. It's just a shift. I may have come in here tonight and I am a person and I have my problems in my life and I know this and I like that person and I don't like that person and I me mine, I me mine, I me mine. And then if you've tuned up your mind a bit, at least sometime during class tonight, you looked within. Just notice the knower. It's just vast, empty space. Where did the person go? Well, it wasn't anything real. It was just an imagined being. Now, another text, Shankara will say, Maya, which is ignorance. We can't say that it is, we can't say that it isn't, but we sure can say that it's powerful. So when I'm under the effects of spiritual ignorance, I've got issues. But when it all drops away, everything is different. So this world comes about like the dream state. Now, it doesn't mean that you into your dreaming black holes in space. The infinite is doing that. But when it comes to I'm Wendy the person or Daniel the person and I have my problems, that's something that I can cross over, that I can wake up from. Any thoughts on this? Yes.
Spiritual, we're all in it. understand the type of this spiritual. %99 of people are in that spiritual ignorance, and you're competing, and they're competing with you. Does that make you vulnerable to be in that situation? In that,
Let's examine the question. The question has some non-logical assumptions in it. So if you have a dream, and in the dream you're competing, when you, there are no deleterious effects to self-realization.
I have a concrete example. I have dreams about the buildings that I have worked in. In my dream, when I walk in those buildings or whatever happens that I'm inside of that building, I know the building and I know the details of that building that I'm walking through. When I wake up, I know that that building was not exactly the same building that in reality I know about. But I know that in the dream, there was some similarity, or I was thinking that it's that building.
I get it.
But
hang on, let me see if. No. The point is that basically the content of your dream is the undigested impressions of the waking state.
right.
So what I'm saying is your question, will I be vulnerable if I realize the self? No, the self is inviolate. Whatever nightmare you have at night never touches you, the waker. You're still safe in your bed. If you had a dream that you were going to be executed by a samurai and your head's going to be cut off, doesn't touch you, the waker, at all. So also for the man or woman of wisdom. They know that nothing touches me, not even death, even dying is completely safe. Right now, just put that on the shelf. May not be your experience, but this is what the scriptures are saying. This is what the great masters are saying. Does that help a bit?
It does, but it just brings another question. In the dreams where I come to death, my conscious wakes me up. I wake up and I know it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
So
Same thing's going to happen when you realize your self-nature. You're going to realize, oh my God, my stupid life was just a nightmare. It wasn't real. I was worried about all of these things that I didn't have to worry about. It's like walking out of a movie. You go see the movie and it's an action movie and car crashes and gunfights and things like that. You know, oh, that was really great. Captain America won again. And you walk out of the movie and you know it was just a movie. Right now, you and I are like children at the theater. That's why it's PG-13, because children can't discriminate. They forget it's a movie. It seems too real for them. But there are no downsides to spiritual unfolding. And actually, in the end, it makes you more effective in the world.
spiritual unfolding.
Yes, or self-realization, or enlightenment, or whatever you want to call it. The whole thing goes mystic union. It has many, many different names. All right, any other thoughts before we go on? Next verse. What number are we on now?
7.
7.
Tavat satyam jagat bhati shuktika rajatam yata yavana yanate brahma sarvadishtanam advayam. The world appears to be real so long as Brahman, the non-dual substratum of the entire creation, is not realized. It is like the illusion of silver in the mother of pearl.
So he uses another metaphor. So in this book, we're going to answer 3 important spiritual questions. The first, who am I? What is my essential nature? The second is, what is this world? And the third, how did it come about? That's the fundamental material we're going to cover. So here again, Shankara is talking about the phenomenon of superimposition. It's funny how it's doing this tonight. So you got to imagine you're out at Ocean Beach and you're walking along in the sand. You see something shiny and silver. Well, there's a dime, a lucky dime. That's good luck. I found a dime. You reach down to pick up the dime. No, it's a piece of shell. I think the word is nacre. Is it nacre? Nacre? How's it pronounced? N-A-C-R-E. You know the word I'm talking about? Yeah. It's the interior of a shell. And it looked like silver. Oh, that's pretty. It's not a dime. So the question is, where was the silver? In my mind. I superimposed. Sorry about that. We're having technical difficulties. All right. Any thoughts on this?
Well, just to bring up what is at the bottom of page 25, and it kind of addresses, I'm sorry, I forgot your name, your question earlier. Once you're enlightened or once you have some realization, things, jagat, as they describe it here, what we see, the phenomenological world, doesn't disappear, it continues. Our lives continue. We just have an awareness that we are not that. So he says it beautifully here. He says, likewise, without the Supreme Self, which is immortal, imperceptible, and changeless, which is referred to as a substratum, adhishtana, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. Even the delusion as jagat is not possible. So the two are intertwined, basically, right?
But what we see is not, or what we think we see is not what's there. It's like the child who sees the rainbow and says, Mommy, get in the car. Let's find the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. The rainbow doesn't disappear.
Right.
But you see it for what it is. So for the person in ignorance, I see people, places, things, and conditions, and I think they're solid, and I think they're real, and I think they're separate from me. And they actually are like a hologram. We've got these 2 scriptural statements that we have to reconcile. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, which means Brahman, or the substratum alone, is real. The phenomenal world is mithya, literally a lie. It's illusion. Then we have another scriptural statement. Sarvam kalvidam brahma. Sarvam idam is a technical term, just means all this, but it means the jagat, the creation. Kalo means verily, is Brahman. Well, Jim, make up your mind. Is it illusion or is it Brahman? Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So when, for example, you're dreaming, is the stuff in the dream real, or is it my mind appearing as a world of name and form? That's what it is. So yes, we do see the world, but we don't see the world. We don't see the world that the person in ignorance sees.
Oh, that's true.
It's very different. All right, next one.
Upadane akhiladare jaganti parameshware sarga sti sargasti tilayanyati uddha niva varini. Like bubbles in the water, the worlds rise, exist, and dissolve in the Supreme Self, which is the material cause and the support of everything.
So here, Shankara is introducing us to the notion of cause. In the Hebrew scriptures, we get the phrase, "You are the potter, I am the clay." And what we have when it comes to the universe, we do not have that triple factor in the same way. What is the very stuff out of which creation is made? And it's wonderful. The word in Sanskrit is budbud. It's a double brew. It's just like bubble. Bubble is the same thing. Bub, bub, bub. Two bubs. So if you're flying into San Francisco airport, you come in over the bay, you know how the planes are really low. Look out the window because you got a window seat. You'll see the backwash from the jets and see all this white stuff, this froth. Oh dear, did somebody put detergent in the ocean? The wind has created froth. Or if you go out to Ocean Beach, there's been a storm and the waves are breaking. You see the crest of the wave break and it's white stuff. Is the white stuff a separate substance from the ocean? It is. The breakers appear a different color, a different substance. It's nothing but God. Names and forms appear, but the material cause of the phenomenal world, the stuff out of which it's made, is consciousness. So what? So don't worry about it. It's all going to be okay. All that happens is the names and forms change. But the underlying substrate, which is That's Shankar's What about politics? What about all the tragedies? It's all going to be okay. When the body falls off, you are still you. Doesn't mean you're going to be you, the personality. That's constantly changing too. But you, who are a being, eternal. Okay, I think we'll quit early because I'm finding the technical problems distracting us from really staying in meditation. It's very distracting tonight. So I apologize. And what number are we on for next week?
9.
Number 9. You're fine. We're supposed to do 4.3 verses a night.
Oh.
Almost exactly as the number of weeks in a year.
4.3?
Yeah.
There's 4.3 weeks in a year?
No, sorry. 4.3.
Never mind.
Times 12.
Yes, times
Right,
12.
Yeah.
Yes.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om. Zoomies, I'm sorry we had such technical issues.